Daniel Defense ris3 Mlock rail worth switching to? Continue watching and we'll find out. This is the Mark 18 ris3 Mlock rail. Its older brother, or cousin if you will, is the ris2 Mark 18, quad rail, the classic OG, the two big head-to-head Picatinny versus Mlock. Oh, there's one more, but we won't mention that one. Is it worth switching to? Should you give up your classic G-Watt quad rail for the newer, sleek Mlock? Is it worth it? Well, I have a few remarks I'd like to make about it. The quad rail and the Mlock rail are very similar. This particular showing is both 9.5-inch rails for the Mark 18. It's the same mounting system as the quote RIS, standing for Rail Interface System, which is a barrel nut, locking collar, and rail. It has a 6-bolt mounting system and a lower rail section that can be removed to mount a M203 grenade launcher. Roughly the same dimensions, minus the side and bottom Picatinny, which will add a little bit extra space, but the internal dimensions of the rail are extremely close. I didn't put a micrometer on it, but they're both extremely rigid rails. Weight is almost exactly the same. It is 1 ounce lighter with the Mlock, but after swapping to the Mlock, it just feels like a bigger difference than it really is. And I think that has to do with balancing, but the weight distribution seems a lot better. Mlock it's smoother on the surface, obviously. Picatinny is a little bit more jagged around the edges. It's still beefy. The Mlock is still a very chunky rail, but it's slim in the sense that it doesn't have 4 massive Picatinny sections that you have to hold on to. It's easier to mount accessories on the Picatinny just for ease of use, but I like having a beefy rail, so that's still good in my opinion. The Picatinny is even beefier. Easier to use this Mlock with gloves and bare hands in the cold, because if your hands are freezing, that Picatinny is going to tear your ass up. I always use the rail cover whenever I used it. And just a quick side note for anybody saying, man up, you got them soft sissy hands. You should be taking care of your hands, and if something is destroying your hands, that's the only pair you have, you should probably not do that. It's in your best interest. So, quick rant over. Only things I don't like from switching the Mark 18 to the ris3 is there's no Mark 18 markings on it. There's no laser engraving, because we got a rep. I can't tell everybody at the range now that I have a Mark 18. It's just a 10-3 barrel with a 9.5-inch rail that says Daniel Defense on it. I can't flex. The FDE is still not FDE. It's still like this shit brown. The bottom of the rail is actually somewhat FDE. It looks like a different type of anodizing, but it's, I don't know. They say it's FDE, but everybody that owns one knows it's not FDE. The new features on it is the integrated QD cups on the 3 and 9 o'clock position. It makes your QD sit closer to the rail, and it kind of gets it out of your way, because that is where I prefer to run my QD, is closer to the receiver. One on the buttstock, one on the rail closest to the receiver. I did that on the quad rail, but I had to buy a separate Picatinny mounted QD cup, and I was running a Daniel Defense one that was like $75. Depending on whatever you get, it's still an added expense to the quad rail if you decide to run that. Which a positive could be you could put that wherever you want. I run it in the same spot that the ris3 has it on there anyway, so that's a beneficial for me. On the ris3, it has extra screws for the bottom rail sections located just above the QD slots that are, like, I guess, field swappable screws that you can have if one backs out in the field or whatever. So I thought that was convenient but not necessarily needed, but it's interesting that they utilize that space for something. Due to the Mlock being a little bit slimmer without having all the Picatinny protruding, the accessories are able to be mounted much closer to the rail. I have my Surefire M600 mounted using the Mlock slots. The bezel of the light is now flush with the rail, and it's almost a ½ inch closer. It slims down the profile of it. If that, some of y'all might not think that's a big deal, but the added benefit, better presentation in my opinion. But overall, still an extremely sturdy rail. It's still Daniel Defense, still rugged, it's still good. Is it worth $500 to change? Steep price tag for a single rail system, but I wanted it, so I bought it. I hope that was educational for you. I appreciate you watching. We just hit 28,000 subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you. If you enjoyed this video, thank you for watching. Leave a comment, leave a like. I won't ask you to subscribe because you've probably already done that or won't do that depending on if you like the video or my channel. So have a good one.